What is that boy doing to his okra plants? That boy don't know how to grow okra. He's gonna kill them plants. He ain't gonna make no okra doing that right there. That's what they've been saying when they ride by late in the afternoons in the cars, seeing me out here cutting this okra like this. So today, I'm gonna show you how I like to grow okra. Now this isn't the only way to grow okra, and I'm sure a bunch of you out there would tell me this is not a good way to grow okra. But this is how I like to grow okra and how I always do it. And maybe if you feel the same way I do about some of the things we're going to talk about, you want to grow your okra this way too. You see how wide and bushy these Star David okra plants are? That means when I come in here and have to harvest this okra, I got to come in here and fight through all this foliage here, leaves slapping me in the face, getting stung up by all these little stingers on the bottom side of these leaves here. It just takes a long time to come in here and harvest, and it's just aggravating. So needless to say, I don't care much for bushy okra. I like my okra plants to look like this right here for several different reasons. Reason number one, and probably the main reason, is just it makes it so much easier to harvest. I can see those pods right there. I don't have to look for them. They're all right on top. I can come in here with my knife, or if they're a little wet, snap them off like that. And I can just pick these things so much faster and get in here. Ain't got to fight through all those leaves. Just right there, boom, boom, quick okra harvest. And the second main reason is for some of my weed control and just keeping everything clean down here at the base of these plants. With them big bushy plants, even though I've got a lot of ground cover there, I'm still gonna get some weeds popping up in there, like this guy right here, or this guy here. When I've got it clean near the bottom here and I can see down there, I can come in here with my single tine or another hoe and I can easily keep this nice and clean. When it's big and bushed out like that, I really can't weed underneath it. It's hard to manage. And this right here just looks neater, looks better to me. And like I said, it's easier to keep the weeds under control, easier to pick it. And so this is how I like to grow my okra. Now it has rained every afternoon this week. It usually knocks off about 7:30 or 8, which still gives me about an hour to come out here in the garden and pick some stuff. But that afternoon rain has put a hamper on my okra harvesting or my okra picking schedule. You see, I don't like to pick wet okra, because if I pick wet okra, that means I got to use a towel or some method to dry it off before I put it in the fridge. Yeah, you can harvest wet okra, take it inside, cook it up, not a problem. But if you're storing it in the fridge for later to eat, or maybe you're going to sell a little bit, you definitely don't want to put it in the fridge wet. So I haven't been able to pick my okra like I wanted to, and as we walk around this okra plot today, you'll see some pods that have gotten too big, and we'll just cut those and let them drop on the ground there. So while I haven't been able to pick this okra in the afternoons, this week I have been able to concentrate on coming out here and cleaning up my okra plants, pruning them, getting them nice and cleaned up along the bottom of that stalk, just like I like them. Now there's 8 rows of okra in here, and I've already knocked out 6 of them this week, so I got 2 more to go, and I'll just show you how I do this. I'm just gonna come in here with my pruning shears, and I'm gonna get off all these bottom limbs. And you can see these limbs that have already made an okra pod. Now that don't mean they wouldn't make another one if I didn't leave it here. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm just gonna get all these bottom limbs off here. And then that way, when I'm coming through here, I can see all my good okra that needs picking right at the top. Another kind of reason that necessitated me trimming these things is because a lot of times I was coming through here and I couldn't find all the okra. And the next time I'd come in here and harvest it, I'd end up with a bunch of them that were just too big, like that Star David right there. That's hard as a rock. You can't eat that. That ain't fit to eat for nobody but probably some chickens. So you know, I was wasting a lot of okra because I just couldn't see it in there. And so I figured cleaning it up like this, like I like to do, would make it so I could see it easier. I'm going to actually get to harvest all the pods that are created from this okra, and I don't let any get too big. Like this guy right here, that okra ain't fit to eat, it's just too big. Now I know what you're thinking right now. Some of y'all out there watching are either about to do one of two things. Some of y'all are about to comment and tell me that I am losing so much okra production by doing things this way. And then the rest of you that are a little bit curious about this technique are about to ask a question in the comments asking me, do I lose any production doing it this way? So let me just be upfront and honest here, because that's what we're all about here. We want to show you different ways to grow your own food, but tell you the advantages and disadvantages of every technique. You will lose some production doing this. Those side branches that I'm trimming off, those things will produce okra, and they'll produce a good bit of okra. So I am sacrificing a good bit of production by doing this. However, in my situation here, I've got 8 rows of okra in this plot. I've got plenty of okra. We're not gonna starve from this okra plot here. We'll have plenty of production. So it's okay for me. If you just had a few okra plants, you might not want to do this. Mine are kind of packed in here, so pruning them like that just keeps it clean, makes me able to get down the rows, get around those plants, navigate through there and harvest it better. So yes, I'm going to lose some production doing it this way, but in my mind, the efficiency of the harvest, being able to get in there, not having to fight through all that foliage, it's well worth it. And I would just rather do it that way, to go through, pick it quick, as opposed to spending an hour out here fighting through all those leaves trying to find okra pods. Now another thing to address here is whether we will continue pruning this okra as it grows taller. And same thing with just pruning it initially, that's up to you. Sometimes, and I did this last summer, I just kind of pruned it up to a certain height here, and then I kind of let it bush out at the top there. And that was pretty, you know, manageable. I kind of like doing it that way. So you can come in here every time you harvest a pod, just like this one right here, this cowhorn okra. You can cut that limb and that pod off and kind of prune it as it grows there. Or you can do like I tend to do, let it bush out a little bit so you do get some of that side shoot production, and then come in here every few weeks or so and then kind of clean it up a little bit so it's easier to get around those plants. Either way, it's the same. Now you don't want to do this, come in here and kind of take a bunch of these branches off if you don't have a decent amount of irrigation, or if it's, you know, the soil's too dry, because it will stress the plant a little bit. It won't kill it, but it will stress it a little bit. This soil is pretty wet because we've had rain every day this week, so it was a good time for me to do this. It's not going to stress those plants too much. Now while I got y'all here, I figured I'd go ahead and mention this technique as well, and I know a lot of our viewers and customers use this technique. So as opposed to my strategy, which I want kind of narrow plants, non-bushy plants, I'm trying to reduce the amount of foliage on those plants to make it easier to get in there and harvest. Some people want big bushy okra plants because they produce a ton of okra, and they do. So what they'll do is the complete opposite of what I'm doing. And they'll come in here when this okra gets about 4 or 5 foot tall, hiney high, like this Star David. They'll come in here and cut the top out of it. And what that's going to do is it's going to reduce the vertical growth and create much more horizontal growth there. And you'll get okra all over the place. And that's a great idea if you want to maximize your okra production. You want to keep those plants from getting too tall. But the downside is it's probably going to take you a little longer to harvest it, because you're going to have to fight through there, walk around that plant several times, look for all them okra pods and so forth. So the takeaway here is that there is no right or wrong way to grow okra, and don't ever let anyone tell you that there is. You see, the great thing about okra is the plants are so resilient. They're heat tolerant, they're drought tolerant, they're just resilient plants. And so they can take a lot of abuse. If you want to prune them up or if you want to let them grow out, that's fine too. It doesn't matter either way. Just do what works well for your space. If you like to stack them in here thick like I do, you may want to clean them up a little bit. If you just have a few okra plants and you've got plenty of room to work all around them 360 degrees, you might want to just let them bush out and make these massive okra plants that are going to make a ton of okra. So do what works for you. And if anybody tries to tell you any different, you tell them, listen here, in my garden, I'll grow my okra how I want to, and in your garden, you can grow your okra however you want to. This world we live in would be pretty boring if everybody was the same and everybody did things the exact same way. I'd really like to hear from all you out there how you like to grow your okra. Do you do it like I do it? Do you let it bush out, make big bushy plants? Or maybe somewhere in between, or something I didn't even think of here. So tell me your okra growing strategy, how you like to do it, and what works for you and why it works for you. I'll put a link below to all our okra varieties so you can check those out. Still plenty of time to get okra planted if you haven't already. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Remember to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification button so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you did enjoy this video, check out these other 2 okra videos right here. I think you'll really like those as well. We'll see you next time.